it was pretty illegal, and we'd have like weird rapport with these cops. I remember this one cop where if I'd see him and I wasn't on my skateboard, I would tap my skateboard on the ground and he would look. And we'd get like busted by him and we'd just act really stupid. We'd be like, oh, it's illegal. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. And then literally he busted us 2 or 3 times in one day. And we just...
You played dumb every time?
Oh, that was you. Oh, dude, I didn't realize that was today. Sorry, dude. And it was like this thing where...
Welcome to What's My Thesis. I'm your host, Javier Proenza, and today my guest is Ben Warwas. We've actually been friends for like a while now, that we realized last time, because you are, not to define you as someone's spouse, but you are you are Molly, you're Mrs. Schulman.
It's true. Yeah, I'm Mr. Schulman. I live in the shadow of Made in LA.
Of Made in LA?
Yeah.
You absolutely do not.
Well, it's not a bad thing.
We cast a very small shadow, and you stand on your own feet, sir. You have a lot of press on your on your designs and stuff, which is really exciting, because I think in our friend group you have a success at a level that most of us don't even have ambition for.
Oh wow, yeah.
In terms of like making a good living while also being popular.
There you go. Wow, so many compliments. I'm so excited. I mean, press is such a weird thing in architecture because it's actually, I mean, I think if you have a good project, it comes really easily, but it's also a tremendous amount of work on your end. And you realize why people get like PR people, because it's just busy work. It's just sending, and just interacting with these press people. And then they ask for specific things. And sometimes you go through all this trouble and then that you don't hear back from them ever again.
Oh, really?
And then sometimes all of a sudden you don't hear back from them. And then someone's like, hey, I saw your project in this thing. And you're like, oh, wow, I guess it finally worked out. Just like,
and they never told you that it was going to go through.
Exactly.
They just did it.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
And then there's all the connections. Like there's like, every time you get press with, like, let's say the LA Times, there's like, I don't know, 5 to 10 other entities that are just automatically connected to the LA Times. And then all of a sudden it's in all these papers, all little local papers and stuff like that, all over America, and random things. And in some ways it's kind of sad because those local papers aren't reporting on actual local news.
Yeah.
They're reporting about this ADU in LA.
And so are they just reprinting the story kind of thing?
Pretty much.
Oh, okay. So they're not they're like just not even hiring. That's like a job.
Yeah, so basically they probably fired all the like regular, local journalists, but they've kept their local paper and maybe deleted 75% of the local stuff, and they just take on this stuff because like my sister's husband's parents were living in Connecticut. It was in the paper there.
Oh, wow.
And then my friend who lives in Alameda, it was in the local paper there.
Jesus Christ.
And
that's like you. So you're like bigger than I thought.
Walked into that one.
Damn, They know you in Alameda.
Alameda. Yeah, that's like, I get so many clients in Alameda. It's crazy.
But does that press? So do people reach out to you, or is that something that like, because I know that, obviously there's no shame in hustling when artists do it too. Like, I think that Voyage LA thing is very much a thing where have you seen those? I mean, I got interviewed for that because Molly got interviewed, and then because Voyage LA just asks you, once you get interviewed, they ask you, who should we interview? And so you just sort of tell them all your friends. With LA Times, I actually reached out to them. Like, we knew that we really liked the project. We had taken great photographs of it. And then, knowing other architects, and they're like, oh yeah, just reach out to this certain person and see what happens. And, sometimes it doesn't work. But then I told another friend, Melissa Shin, and she got a monster spread of her project. Whoa. She got like, I think 3 full pages, the cover and everything. And I like the spread envy.
Yes. I have major spread envy. I'm going to need a lot of therapy after this interview.
That's crazy though. No, I mean, those are things that like people don't really realize that everybody in every industry has to do, right? Like you kind of have to ask for the press, because it's not like people are it almost sounds like what these guys do is pretty cushy because like the journalists, the architecture journalists at the LA Times do,
Yeah.
because they're just like waiting to get pitched, and if they like something, they're like that is like not reporting. I mean, no shade, but that's like
I know they're like, no, it's like if I was like, I had so many clients just coming in all the time, and then I would just like pick one, like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they do. But I mean, a lot of the big firms, like I have a friend who, I mean, won't say his name, but he has a tremendous amount of money, and he did a project, and he just hired a press firm, and the press firms or the PR firms, they can make sure that like all kinds of magazines cover you at the exact same time.
Oh,
Because typically they don't like that. When you just go like you're just the designer or architect and you're like, hey, I want you to cover my story, the first thing they ask is like, has anybody else covered it?
yeah, they want the scoop.
Yeah, but then somehow if you have a PR firm, they'll just all cover it at the exact same time. And so it's like a whole, you're like, how do they do that? But it's like,
what are the like big publications that are not like newspapers that would be considered like Dwell is that, does that matter to people?
Dwell has it's all about like subscriptions and how much they publish. And Dwell is a good one. It's like super high, whatever, I don't know, super high numbers. I mean, there's like Architect's Digest, but I think that is, I mean, it's a big deal no matter what for an architect, but it's a lot of interior designers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like the highest number of publications. And then Dwell, I mean, LA Times is always good because it's so local. And I mean, a lot of the people in the design world, they really like D-Zine, which is actually a European, it's an English company, but it has a huge subscription. And then Arc Daily, which is something that you can just upload your project to Arc Daily and someone vets it. And then it goes, they might have like 6 different, they have like Spain, they have South America, they have North America, they have Asia. And so then it goes to all those. But, and then like in over here or whatever, or even in New York, Architects newspaper, that's like super like the architects thing, because there's like the whole architecture scene and they read a bunch of stuff, but then there's the actual public that reads stuff, and
then that's where you get more clients as opposed to, because like not everybody that's a client is a architecture nerd.
Yeah, no one's gonna read Architects newspaper. That's just like, so you try to get the awards with like, I mean, Dwell just recently started giving out awards.
I would say Dwell has a pretty broad reach, though. Like, I mean,
no, they do. They're one of the best because it's such a lifestyle magazine that it's like the moment where some random person who can afford a fancy house, there's actually a floor plan in there, and they're looking at floor plans, and it's like, I think Dwell. They do say Dwell is a really good one to get into.
Yeah, because I know about it, and I'm not in architecture.
You read it, right?
No,
and you see those fancy people?
I received it randomly. I don't even know how it started showing up at my house. It was actually, remember back in the day when I did that piece, the junk mail piece? I would get...
yes.
So that started because, like, it was basically just junk mail being littered into the house because it was like a mail slot. It wasn't a box, so it just fucking pile up, and I got really annoyed. So at a certain point, I stopped throwing away, and I just started collecting it and like laid it out all in like by category, by brand, and then like that was one of the magazines that was just like incessantly dropping into that mailbox. It was just dwell. So I have like a weird relationship. I kind of like it, but I also hate it.
I think all architects have that same relationship.
Oh, really?
As well. Like I'm always like, there's something about it that's like not architectural enough, but then at the same time, it's like it's lifestyle, and those are the people that are going to hire you to design a cool house. So it's like. But it's just this sort of delivery. But I remember that piece. I always loved that piece that you did. And,
thank you.
And it's just, I like the fact that you told me that you just had the mail slot, because that's so interesting. Because if you don't have to box, those postmen are like, oh, that dude, he's got a mail slot. Just put your shit in there. So sometimes my mailman will show up and he'll show me all this junk. He's like, do you want this? And he's giving me the option to just say no. But like, you didn't have that option.
Damn, I think that guy could get fired for that.
I'm not.
I can't, because like that whole hustle of like the direct mail is so crazy. It's so wasteful, but there's no way you're ever going to shut that down.
Yeah.
Like just like
coupons.
Can you imagine the printing costs? All of that shit. I mean, obviously there were jobs too involved. Like there's designers that put that shit together, but it's still like. It just feels like you could just be junk mail and like electronic. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, think about all the junk mail that you get in your email. But it's like, and
exactly.
you don't read it. No, it's horrifying. I mean, they have to print the paper. They have to cut the trees down.
Yeah.
They have to pay the guy. They have to send it to our house.
And
then we have to throw it in the trash. And then they have to take it to the dump. It's just like, come on, guys.
It's such a fucked up life cycle.
Yeah. It's like, maybe we should make some different decisions, you know, use our energy in a different way.
Yeah. So I made it art instead of garbage. But then I got into an accident and I lost like a few of those pieces. And I was like, all right, the thing's ruined.
You're like that one. March 2019 dwell is gone. This piece is ruined. The one that was like third from the bottom.
Okay, so where did you grew up out here in LA or no?
I grew up in Berkeley, Northern California.
Northern California. Yeah. Okay, what brought you down here?
I had lived here for like 3 months to get this fashion job. In undergrad I did fashion, and I sort of got a hookup. I got a job. I was living with a friend, like we were living in the same room and everything. But then it kind of just didn't work out, and then I left. And then I moved. It's like a long story, but I moved to New York City. I met a woman, and we were together. And she wanted to leave New York City, and I had remembered really liking LA, which people from Berkeley are not supposed to like LA. They're sort of bred to not, you know. But
I've been around there.
Yeah, you know those people. But yeah, and then we made this agreement. I was like, well, if we're going to leave New York City, because I didn't want to leave, and we're going to LA, and so we came here, and then eventually split up. And
Berkeley is very much that thing where it's like, it's that liberal, like bleeding heart thing where they're like
bleeding liberal.
Yeah, but it's kind of ironic because they really want to help the poor people. They just don't want them in their fucking city.
They just don't want to give them any money.
They don't want them in LA.
We care about you.
Yeah, that's what's happening in LA. Like all these democratically run fucking cities are just like, bye.
Yeah, they're like, we love you, and just get out of our city.
We don't want you to have a house, but we're okay with walking through the smell of your piss and shit on the streets. Yeah. It's like, it's pretty fucking weird. Anyway, but that is something that I always found funny, because I would classify Berkeley as like a level higher into that like attitude, but LA is really trying to keep up now. Yeah.
Well, so that was totally. I mean, they had all the redlining. My dad was friends with one of the Black Panthers ages ago, and I think he sort of told me. I mean, later, but he lived right down the street. But that was when they told me about the whole redlining. And there's a street it was called Grove, and then it got changed to Martin Luther King, and that was the street that Black people couldn't own property above.
Oh, okay.
You know, and it happened and Berkeley was actually, I think, one of the first public school systems in America to integrate. But at the same time, they weren't letting them own property all over the town. And I mean, when growing up there, and now you can still tell.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Berkeley in particular, dude.
It's that street. Literally.
They got shit like rose gardens over there.
Yeah.
It's like, it's crazy. There's a rose garden with a sand slide. You put sand on it and you slide down.
Oh, yeah. We were trying to take Ida to that. She wouldn't, that really big cornices.
Yeah.
That's like a roller coaster.
Yeah, that shit is crazy. But it's like, oh yeah, I wonder why the ghetto doesn't have a rose garden.
They'd be like, well, there's no hills there, so we couldn't do it up there.
I like that you didn't go southern, or it was like broadly southern. It wasn't like it was a politician southern, not yokel.
I was trying to do the white guy and all the rap songs.
You're trying to do a black guy's impersonation of a white guy in the 90s?
Sort of.
That's appropriation, sir.
That's like the wormhole of appropriation. That's a good angle. Just total confusion. Wait, what?
My goodness. That made me choke on water. Oh. So, okay. So then you used to make clothes. We bond because you're not a raver, but we like Jinkos.
I started making clothes at the beginning of the rave scene.
Okay.
Like it was high school. I think it was like a junior. And Yeah, that stuff, like there was all these raves. I would get invited to all these raves that was called Toontown.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like super shy kid. And there was this girl that would always be like giving me those flyers. Do you remember those flyers, those little postcards?
Beautiful. Some of the best artwork, like most inspiring. I still remember.
Yeah, it was always like, and they would always go to these like kids, and they would just go rave, and I never went. But then it was like I started making clothes, and we would make our clothes like that. We would just cut the inseam out of the pants and add like this much, and then the pants were just huge.
Yeah.
And I was a skateboarder, and so we kind of dressed like that too. And
Yeah.
but yeah, it was the whole rave thing. It was nuts.
My Jinko origin story is. Did you ever watch like Freaks and Geeks, or did you ever like it probably actually happened in real life that you saw? You don't. I don't have to reference a TV show. Did you ever see like a kid that all of a sudden from one day to the next just had a complete makeover in high school, and it was just like, oh, okay, like you've gone from this to this. Like I tried to pull that off when I was in Miami, and I bought Jinkos, and I was going for more of a like I was wearing pants like this because I had just moved from Italy to the U.S. and the fashion was completely different. In Miami, everybody was like wearing baggy shit. It was the 90s, right?
Yeah.
And so I was trying to impress some girl, and I was like, I bought a shirt that had like an alien smoking weed out of a bong. You know, it was like fucking complete poser shit, complete poser. And then, you know, the embarrassment that came along with doing that, like, you know, and getting called out on it. It was like, she told me, she was like, you're dressing like something you're not, you know?
Wow. Called you out.
I had the Pumas as well, with the stripes. So I was going for it. And then what I ended up doing is I kept wearing those pants, but I just like frayed the bottom, let him out. You know, I just like ripped up the bottom, and now I was suddenly a skater raver. It was so I didn't back down, motherfuckers.
I mean, yeah, there were some kids. We used to call some of the kids who we'd call them like a chameleon because they would switch. They would go from like goth to raver to skater. I mean, it wouldn't be like every day, but they were sort of trying. I mean, in hindsight, you know, they were just trying to figure themselves out. But like, I was always just such a skateboarder, and it was just like I didn't go back and forth. I mean, we wore weird clothes, but skateboarding was the religion.
To me, the California skateboarding scene is mythical too, because it's like we didn't have like, you know, like no one gave a shit about Miami skateboarding scene, and we probably didn't even have that many great skaters, you know, because like all the fucking sponsorships and all that shit was out here.
Well, at one point, it's like 90% of the professional skateboarders lived in Southern California.
No, exactly.
I mean, not anymore, but there was a time when
back when it started, because it was like there was no Tony Hawk. Like, I mean, he was around, but there was no like ambassador to the fucking sport that like everybody knows. You know, parents are like, "Oh, let's go get him a skateboard at Walmart," as opposed to like it being a scourge. I remember the transition when people went from like when security guards went from being assholes to apologizing for kicking us out.
Oh my God, I don't know if I ever remember. Oh yeah, I mean, I guess there was a lot. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Sorry,
they let you have the one more trick or whatever. It's just one more trick. Yeah. No, I mean, skateboarding is like, because I went to school. I went to undergrad in Boston, and I hadn't.
That's a fucking huge skating scene too.
It was, but I went to school there in 96 to 99. And so it was kind of like sort of taking off there. But I started skateboarding again. It was awesome. And I met all these skater kids, but it wasn't that they were enamored with skateboarding and stuff like that, but they literally thought California was Baywatch. And it was so many weird conversations, and they were like, it's not like that. And I was like, well, maybe in LA. Yeah, but I lived in Northern California, and like, you know, SF was like a huge
You lied to these Bostonians. You broke their dreams.
Yeah, they were just like totally blown away.
I would say Miami's probably more Baywatch than LA. Like, seriously.
Yes, definitely.
Definitely much more Baywatch. So, to be fair, yeah, because like...
There's more coast. It's all the way around the whole thing.
Yeah, no, they definitely have a lot of fucking beach over there. And like over here, it's crazy. I don't hang out too much in Venice, but I feel like that vibe is a little bit more hippie. Even Santa Monica, like it's
like Rasta,
professional hippie, like, you know, like hippies that are doing well that go to Burning Man kind of vibes.
Yeah, you're doing well if you can go to Burning Man.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you live in fucking Venice and you're a hippie,
Yeah,
come on, get the fuck out of here. You're not a hippie.
No, you're no longer a hippie. a good point.
Hippies smell bad and they have principles. to their detriment.
And it's not their stock options, that's their principles. Oh my God. I agree.
Yeah, but yeah, Miami is just a lot of Cuban girls with like big butts that no shade. I love it. And then shorts with high heels. At least in the fucking 90s.
That's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah. That you don't see out here. So I would definitely give the Baywatch.
Yeah, Miami is.
Miami's
That's what I
Baywatch.
should have said. Oh, that's just Miami. They shoot all that in Miami. They tell you it's California.
You weren't as worldly back then.
No, I was not. Also, then was like I think I was sort of like anti Los Angeles because I had just moved. But I just wanted to get out of Berkeley. I was just like, I'm done. This place is too small. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I bet it gets a little stuffy.
It does. I mean, the problem is the whole Bay Area is just so nice. It's just like the weather's really nice.
Yeah,
it doesn't get hot. The food is really good, if you can afford it. So it's like one of those things where you're like, it's not super exciting here, but it's really nice.
So where did you go? You went to, what did you studied architecture in Boston?
No, I went to Boston and I studied fashion. I did actually kind of like a minor in experimental film. They have like a whole, at Mass Art, they have a whole experimental film thing. But
that's where you went, Mass Art?
Yeah. And actually those same skater kids, it took them the longest period of time to realize that I wasn't gay because I made clothes. At one point, one of them in the cafeteria like sat down and admitted to me. He was like, when I first met you, I thought you were gay because you made clothes. And I was like, well, whatever, that's fine. You can.
Well, they still hung out with you.
I know, but I was like, it was this moment for him. And
yeah, it speaks well of him.
Yeah, I mean, I think
that he was okay with it. Like, yeah, it sounds like he had a moment and a life moment and a life process that he was like dealing with. Is like
he did. I mean, yeah, it was awesome. I still sort of know him on Instagram, but it was this, and the only reason I'm bringing it up is it came out of nowhere. Like we were all close. I would party with them. I was like, I had girlfriends, and then all of a sudden one day he sort of tells me this, and it was like, and I was like, oh, that's cool, dude.
Yeah, that's interesting. Maybe I'm going back on it. Maybe he's like, maybe he was telling you like, I used to think badly of you.
Yeah, I know. Maybe I should do things like that too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. So Boston, you just decided you weren't an East Coaster. It sounds like
Boston's a weird place.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're like a weirdo, because I still had crazy hair and I made all my crazy clothes and I mean. And I had a ton of friends, but like, there's just like a weird, violent vibe there. If you don't, go to MIT or wear the right clothes or go to sports bars and stuff like that. Like I lived in South Boston. I worked for this woman who, I mean, she was amazing. She really taught me how to sew. She was kind of a couturier, and I worked at her store. But South Boston, she had 3 kids, and her youngest kid, like maybe every week or two, he would come into the store and he would just say, "Oh, Ben, what's up? Have you been beat up yet?" Because I mean, you've seen like Good Will Hunting or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like that. But I mean, not that anything actually happened. Like you'll walk down the street when I was there, and you'd overhear these conversations, and it was like almost 90% of the time it was about parole or it was about a scam that someone was running, and you would just hear them talking about this.
Yeah.
But when I was there, it was like a lot of the kids that had grown up there, they were burnt out. And if their parents passed away, they would sell and they just left because they were actually getting pretty burnt out from it. And it's by the beach. It's like a pretty freaking nice part of Boston. There's like a whole huge beach and everything there. But yeah, I lived there and yeah, I just I left every summer. People told me the summer was awesome because Boston is like 50% students. Mm-hmm. So 50% of the population almost leaves.
Yeah.
And the art kids and the skater kids, they're like, oh, you got to stay, dude. We just party all summer. There's nobody here. I was like, that does sound kind of cool, but I have to go back to California.
Yeah, I do find the East Coast is like surprisingly abrasive now when I go back. Like people, like, first of all, when I was living in Miami and I went to New York, I was like, whoa, you guys are aggressive.
Yeah. I think though, because I lived in New York City for a while, and New York City is a little bit more communal, like they're aggressive, but it's like when I lived in New York City, you'd meet a couple people at a party, and then all of a sudden they would like, they'd help you get an interview, or this woman, she was like, oh, I can sell your clothes here. Oh, I can try to get these other people to sell your clothes. Like, people were like super welcoming, but Boston was just it's this like the tension that's just like under the surface. And I was talking to a good friend of mine who was also in the fashion program, who was from here, and she you dress crazy too, and she was like, yeah, it's weird. She said she would get yelled at on the train, that she would have like a piercing or something, and people would just start screaming at her, just like,
wow.
And that didn't happen to me, but yeah, she.
Yeah. My problem with Miami is that a lot of it, there wasn't, I mean, it sounds like it's changed a lot, but there wasn't a lot to do there. And it was very insular. Like, even the people that I know from Miami that are moved out here kind of still all hang out. Like,
Yeah.
And that makes sense. They're not like exclusionary, but it is a very weird vibe when you hang out with all Miami people and you're like, oh yeah, that's why I left. It's like, it's not that they're rude or anything. It's just this like it's like fucking pristine hipsterism, where everybody's kind of attractive but like also kind of weird, and
sounds like a TV show waiting to happen. Like a little undertone of weirdness.
Yeah, but like I don't know. I mean, they're nice people. It's just for me, I was like it was such a centralized art scene that it's funny to see them still be so centralized with each other when they're out here, which is like, because over here, like, everybody's like, it's all dispersed. There's no like, you can't like, where's the art scene? Chinatown, the Bendix building,
on the move.
Yeah, it's everywhere. You can't fucking just like pin it down. Whereas when I was in Miami, it was pretty easy. There were definitely a few spots, but like the design district was very specifically like furniture and shit like that, And then there was like, like the hip part of town. It was, now I'm fucking blanking on the name. It's where Frederick Snitzer Gallery is, and all of these places. And it would be like art walks would be every second Saturday, and they would have like Bacardi and like just fucking ragers.
Awesome.
Ragers as you're going gallery hopping in this like district that's like I was a gallery assistant for them and an art handler for them, and like one time I showed up early and I was standing there in my polo looking nice, and this car just kept circling, and I went into this chop shop that was like clearly a fucking chop shop, and I was like, hey, can I just hang out here, this car? And they're like, oh yeah, no, it's all good, but it's like it was not a safe neighborhood. That I remember one woman went from I don't even remember the name.
This is where the galleries were.
Yeah, this is the galleries, because it's all like in a formerly industrial warehouse area, right? And they're like big spaces. So, and that's actually when I learned. I remember at OPAF, you were like, "Oh, you know how to mud." I was like, I built an entire gallery space like with six, like huge fucking walls, like, and it wasn't just like a square gallery. It was one of those that had like,
like a bunch of different rooms.
And then we put up a partition and shit. So it was like, it was maybe like the last thing I did in Miami was build that gallery space, and then I was like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time in Miami.
Yeah,
I drove to Key West when we were in school in Boston for spring break, and it was like, well, the awesome part is when we left, it was like that snow that's like slush, and as soon as it like hits you, it turns to water, and it was so cold, and we drove for 24 hours straight, and then we stopped at this beach, which I think was quite a bit north in Florida, and we jumped into the ocean, and there were phosphorescents, and it was like the craziest transition. It was just like they were just all sort of going nuts all around us. I think that was like the first time I ever swam with them.
Key West is a weird place, bro.
Oh yeah. Well, then we got to Key West, and it was weird. It was like, and it was. I don't know why we decided, but the key lime pie was awesome.
Yeah.
And we were just like randomly camping. We didn't really sort of do the whole like spring break thing. I think I was like with 3 women, but we just went to weird beaches. But I don't know. It was like a fun trip. But once we got there, we were kind of like, this is kind of weird. Yeah, why did we come here?
That's where the fucking the cats with thumbs, or there's the Hemingway cat. I forget what. You know what I'm talking about?
I think we went to Hemingway's
house,
like, little museum.
Yeah. So like that is like I always think of Key West as that like place that has the mutant cats, because it feels like, it's like, and I mean this as not a derogatory term, but it is like the most charming white trash you've ever come across.
Isn't there that country singer, the Parrot Heads?
Oh, Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah. Is
yes,
that his? That's the scene there.
Their fans are all fucking,
Yeah,
like that
yeah.
is exactly like it's Margaritaville, bro.
Yeah, exactly. You just go drink margaritas, and yeah, I mean that's the lifestyle.
It's just like people that are retired, and then just like, dude, the amount of fucking old people. And it's like the oldest part of all of Florida. Like you go down there, you're like, yeah, we're gonna party, and anytime that is not spring break, and it's all old ladies, just hitting on you, like, hey.
Oh my god, I didn't experience that, but
of course, none of my opinions are like legit. I apologize to the Key West.
I mean, it is. I think it is a retirement community.
Yeah, no, it definitely is.
They probably all leave. They're like, oh, spring break, we gotta leave. I had a friend who.
They probably just try to get laid, like sleep with 25-year-olds, dude. 100%. That it also has that creepy vibe. I love Key West. I love saying
That's where you're
something
going.
awful and backpedaling.
Yes. Javier's leaving for Key West tomorrow.
Yeah. No, maybe I'll retire there when I'm like super old.
Do it.
I just can't handle the humidity.
Oh yeah, I like the humidity, but I grew up without it, so I'm always, it's like a novelty to me. Like when it's warm at night, I'm like, oh, I have all this energy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, when it's warm at night, I'm like, I need a new shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah. One time I sweated a Wu-Tang symbol on my back. We took a picture of it.
That was a sign. You were about to be the 8th member. Or whatever.
Yeah. It would be 10, excuse me.
Oh, okay. I mean, I listen to music, but
All right. So then when did you make the transition from what's it called? From fashion to architecture?
Well, it's interesting because, like, honestly, I started making skateboard ramps.
Oh,
like,
really?
I would just, when I was 13, I like saved up money. My parents let me build a skateboard ramp in the backyard, and I got all my friends, and we all like built this. Like one of my dad's friends, I coerced him into like helping me for free, and he was like a carpenter.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so when and I think I even built some launch ramps before then. So I was kind of always building stuff, but then I went to fashion school, and then when I graduated, I really didn't get any fashion work because also the Bay Area, there isn't a lot of fashion work. And then I just ended up getting hired by some guy who was like renovating a house across the street from my parents' house. And so I would do that. And then I always kind of made clothes at night anyway. I was pretty driven. And yeah, so it was kind of like this parallel thing that just happened. And so I ended up doing a lot of contracting, construction. And then in New York City, it's a weird story. I was looking, I had made a little bit of money in fashion. I was sort of making money on my own. And then I needed like a day job. And so I applied for all these day jobs. And this one dude was like, oh, come interview. And he had me take an aptitude test. But I didn't know it at the time. But it was a Scientology aptitude test.
Oh my God. This is already great.
And I didn't even know what Scientology was, but I saw these books in his office maybe it was, but whatever. So I took this test, and so he had got this big project. He didn't do like really big projects, but he had got this big renovation. It's like 2 stories. You know, they combined 3 different apartments. And he basically said to me, he's like, you did the best on the tests. I want to give you this job. And so I was kind of excited because I was kind of overdoing the actual labor.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, oh, I could try this. And construction management, it can be super intense, and so, yeah, so I moved up to construction management, and the sort of the Scientology never really came up again, but I realized later.
Yeah, I've worked for Scientologists before. It's fucking weird.
He would, every once in a while, he would talk about how they knew how to do everything the best. And I was like, come on, dude, that's like a weird thought process.
I'm pretty sure my boss labeled me a suppressive person.
So they have like a term for a suppressive.
I worked at the this is so funny that like you live in LA and you have Scientology stories. I love that. That's one of the best parts of LA. I know they hurt so many people, but it's so fucking crazy. And I'm hugely fascinated by cults. But okay, so I worked at Pearl Art here in LA, the one that is now a Joanne Fabric. I think it's on Pico.
Oh,
I worked there when the economy crashed, and I had just moved here. I had no fucking job prospects because I didn't know anybody out here, and it was fucking tough. So I started working there, and I was doing well. Like I have good customer service background and sales skills, so I was killing it. But I realized that like everybody in the store was new. And what had happened is that she had fired everybody
Oh,
2
yeah.
weeks prior. And I was like,
wow. They
this,
do that.
yeah, this is not gonna last. That store like went out of fucking business. Like
I
that.
remember Pearl because when
Yeah.
I was at art school, that people would go to Pearl. There was a
Well,
Pearl in.
There's probably still
Boston.
some the one in New York and stuff. It's
yeah.
just the one here that closed down because it was just so badly managed. But
Oh.
but okay, so it was weird, and it was this weird thing where, she would get really wrapped up in the gossip and like who was talking shit,
Oh,
the
God.
manager, and then she would drop weird things like, "I'm in so much debt," and I'm like, "I know."
You would just say, I know. Could you just loan me some money? You're fucked anyway. You'll just file for bankruptcy. Give me all your money.
And then there was this really adorable girl that worked there. She was like 16. And I remember like us, like, like walking around the store and like going to lunch and me just being like so baffled by like her, like, cause she would talk to me like it was a normal thing. It's just like, oh yeah, in Scientology, we have these things called the blah, blah, blahs. And I was just like, I would just look at her like I was like, oh my God, poor thing, like what?
16.
Yeah, 16, and like
Can't
she's
even be
already
a 16-year-old.
fucking in debt, dude. She's
no.
already in debt
Oh, to them.
to them, to
I didn't
like,
know they were. Maybe I
'cause-
should get
'cause-
a loan from them to build my house.
well, no, the reason the loans are you take their classes and you owe them work.
Oh, interesting. So it's
So
not money.
so that's how. So it's like it's this weird fucking thing. But anyway, I remember I fucked up one time because that store was full. Like she was just hiring people from the church. There was this one guy who was like who was fucking clearly a meth head or a pill popper or something like. Actually,
Yeah.
probably pill popper.
Pre-meth.
Yeah, and he was like, I like that pre-med as opposed to pre-med. And he goes, and I asked him, and he goes, oh, I work a lot with my church, and I asked him, and I was like, what church? I was like, I didn't fucking know. And he goes, it's a cult, and I was like, oh.
He just told you that.
No, he was being sarcastic.
Oh,
he was
funny.
like trying to like play it off, and then I was like, oh yeah, it is a cult. But then the reason that I think I got fired, and I did get fired by this woman, was because one time I fucked up with my Miami accent and I said I was like, oh, you work at the Celebrity Center? You must meet some really crazy people there. And I meant it like Tom Cruise, like
Yeah, exactly.
crazy. He was not having that explanation. He was like immediately shut down, and then shortly afterwards I was gone. and my manager, like her attitude towards me once I was labeled a suppressive person. I'm assuming that
weird.
and I was like, yeah, it was fucking crazy. It was really weird. So there was like, yeah, man, there was a good chunk of that staff that was like just people that she knew from church.
But then, so she wasn't paying them, right? I've heard that did they have to do
No,
some
I
work
think
for free?
I think she was just staffing the job. I think this job was so that they
Oh.
could pay their debts.
Oh, okay.
Because that's how, like, I think that's how a 16-year-old girl got the job. She was like, "Oh, my daughter needs a job," because like the mom was like,
Wow.
because like she's in debt and she needs to pay the, it's like it's fucking crazy. Anyway,
Wow.
They're-
Yeah, the guy that I worked for. Oh, maybe I even said that before, but he had said like he wanted everyone at his construction company to be a Scientologist because it would just work so smoothly.
yeah.
But then he had even said that he had sort of done that and it didn't work. So I was just like, whatever. I mean,
Yeah, it sounds really, really difficult. Have you watched any of the?
I haven't. Molly read one of the books about that famous woman who grew up in the church. She was like
Leah Remini.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
the actress, yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I think I started some sort of Scientology drama where they're kind of going and harassing these people, and they're always getting like shut out of.
My highest recommendation, if you want to dip your toe in Scientology, is the Louis Theroux documentary.
Okay.
Because Louis Theroux has such a fucking weird style where he'll like just interview the person and the person just reveals themselves, but he's not even really like,
Oh.
he doesn't do anything. I really don't
just-
know how the fuck he does it, but he just gets people. Like there's like people, you know, there's one point where he's driving and the one of the guys is like, I see what you're doing. And he's just like, oh my God. But like in that interaction, you realize like how fucked up that guy is, you know, and how conflicted he is. And it's just great. I love all of his shit. He did
English or
yeah, he's
oh, okay,
yeah,
maybe that was what
you know who he
started
is?
watching.
Have you heard the song the My Money Don't Jiggle Jiggle It Folds?
Oh.
That's him. That's from a documentary that he did, and he just put it on TikTok and it fucking went insanely viral.
It's definitely on TikTok quite a bit. It's unfortunate that I know that. It's catchy though.
It is. I hated it until I realized it was him, and then I was like, oh, okay, I'll give him this one. Like I literally was at work one time and this guy was singing and I was just like, you little fucking plebe. And then I realized I was like, because I was like, you're just singing the latest fade. I doubt that guy knows who it is.
So is it a whole song originally, or it was just like some little?
It's
moment?
him. Someone's trying to help him how to rap.
Oh,
so he does it. That's a rap song that he writes. So I think he's interviewing a bunch of rap stars and stuff, and it's great, dude. I'm like a huge fan.
Huh. Yeah. No, I should watch.
And talking about him has with ladies in the past has been fruitful. So in terms of like, oh, we have that in common. We both like Louis Theroux.
There you go.
So I owe him that much. Thank you, Louis.
Louis. Yes, thank you, Louis. I don't even know who you are, but I love you.
I do. I really love you. But yeah, okay. So then, well, sorry, we went to we've been on a fucking tangent now, but we were talking about architecture. I do want to go back because I didn't ask you about the clothes. What kind of, is there a style? Were you doing like preppy stuff, or I can't imagine.
Yeah, preppy. I mean, it started as kind of like just skateboarding clothes. It was like at this moment where the skateboarding companies started making clothes. And
like Vision Streetwear era?
Yeah, it was then, but it
Holy
was
shit.
like World Industries.
I don't think I know how old you are, but I'm going to leave it at that. I think I asked you at your birthday and you didn't tell me.
Yeah. Oh,
I think I asked you. No, you did tell me and I forgot. But I asked you, is like, hey, can I ask you how old you are? And you're like, you can.
I'm not going to answer you. No, I'm 48.
You're 48? Okay.
It was like, yeah, when I started skating, that was like right when street skateboarding started, because all the skate parks have been closed in the 80s, and it was the tail end. Yeah, I mean, we never went to a skate park. I don't recall. Like there was a few ramps, but yeah, it was like Vision Streetwear, but mostly like Vision
that was
Streetwear.
a fucking shit.
That was like the super 80s stuff. But this was like kind of the next step, so it was a little bit more streetwear, if you will.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But yeah, World Industries, like we all loved World Industries. And yeah, so I just started making kind of baggy pants, and then I started making shirts, and we'd all shop at thrift stores because it was kind of like the punk scene and the skater scene were kind of intermingled.
Did you ever wear the work shirts that had the person's name?
Oh, the Dickies. Oh yeah, totally.
Like the Bob's car wash or some shit like that. Yeah.
No, there was a moment where I kind of liked buying thrift store clothes, and I had this whole wardrobe. And then there was this moment where I was just over it, and I thought it was kind of played out, and I had started making my own clothes, and I went to this place, those like secondhand stores, but the cool ones, like on Telegraph, where like the really hip kids would work there. And I brought all the stuff in, and the people that were working there, they just wanted all the stuff that I had. They were so into it, and I was just like over it. And then that was kind of the end, and then I just started making clothes. Mm-hmm. But I would just buy stuff at thrift stores and take it apart and figure out how to make it. And it was a few friends, but then I was the one that stuck with it. But now this old friend of mine, Roy, he then later on in life, like let's say 4 or 5 years ago or 8 years ago, he became like a really famous selvage jean guy. And he was like Pat the Pants Maker. And like we had people in common, and they would always talk about us. But yeah, he actually made something of himself.
Yeah, and you're just the fucking gutter snipe. So then, and just a side question: did you ever skate in Venice at that like famous spot that no longer exists that became a level in Tony Hawk Pro Skater?
Oh no. I mean, I never came down here. We would go to Portland actually. I would snowboard it a lot. We'd go to Portland in the summer because you could snowboard in the summer in Portland. and we'd go to Burnside.
Burnside, I do know from the fucking game.
Oh, is it in the game? Yeah, I don't know the game, but Burnside was
That's underneath the bridge, right?
Yeah. And it's like it was always growing. Every year we'd go, and there'd be this whole other part they just built, and it was like this one dude. We were skating there once, and this guy was just like ripping, like the locals just ripped, like over vert. And then I remember he came up on the deck, and then he took his shoe off, and it was full of change. It had like so much change in it, and he just had some little Vans on. I don't even. There was like those little lace up. They weren't even like
performance enhancing change.
And I was like, dude, I could never skate with change in my shoe. It wasn't like a penny. Yeah. It was like like $5 in change.
Bus fare.
Yes, it was insane.
That's
just like yeah.
All right, and then what was like the craziest trick you could land?
The craziest trick. Oh,
were you because varials seem to be the fucking
late varials.
What's that?
Late varials.
Yeah.
I got Ron Allen. I don't know if you're Ron Allen. He skated for H Street.
Okay.
And then he started this company called Life, but the eye of Life was an eyeball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He was nice enough. He used to like give me free boards and free wheels, and but that was awesome. Because having a brand new skateboard every 3 weeks is insane. But the best trick, God, I don't know. I remember this because you were brought up the whole like getting kicked out of a spot. We used to skate this spot called RSF, which was part of the Cal campus. And they had these big planters. I mean, they weren't that big. Maybe they were like 3 feet by 3 feet, like just dirt. And I was trying to do a 360 kickflip over the gap.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember we were just about to get kicked out, or the woman came and she was like, "Oh, sorry guys, I got to kick you out." And I totally was like, "Oh, just come on, one more." And then I just like landed this 360 kickflip over the gap. And it was just like, I don't know. It's like one of those moments where you're like, yes.
Nice.
What?
But I'm sorry, I'm going to have to say Pixar didn't happen. No, I'm kidding. That's cool, man. I do have fond memories of skating. It used to get so fucking hot in Florida. It was like I can't even like thinking about what I used to do to my body. I must have fucking drank so much goddamn water just because there was just no way. And we would do it. We would do it like daily. I was always flat ground though. We didn't really have any like vert. So now I'm really enjoying learning some of that shit.
Oh, where do you skate now?
Well, there's the Lincoln Heights skate park, and then there's mad shit everywhere.
Is that the one right by that studio that we were hanging out at the other day?
Yeah, the Also Gallery. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's cool.
There.
Yeah, because it's like it's a downhill. We should skate. Do you still skate?
I should. Someone just gave me a whole new setup. Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, I always.
You'll see me with pads. I got no shame.
Good for you. I'm like amped.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like the one thing that I can't really wear too much now that I've gotten a little bit more confident, because the first time that I got back on the board, I was like, I need like granny pants for my fucking coccyx. I'm so scared of falling.
You should get some butt pads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then now what I really want is to get those like ankle protectors that they have. I think I may have already told you this personally, but like in real life. But the soccer players, they have like the little, because the shin guards are so small, sometimes they'll just put like a little ankle protector.
Oh, it actually. Yeah.
Because whenever I catch flips here, it's just brutal.
Oh, I remember.
That's why. Yeah, and the
shins.
I can handle.
Hitting my shin with the skateboard and then it really hurting and looking down at it and seeing blood coming out of the pores.
Yeah,
like it didn't actually cut, but it was like I was like, how is that even happening?
Yeah, I do miss like I like skating now, but I just miss being young and being carefree and not worrying about like just eating it, like I think I was so much better. I've gotten so rusty at like falling and rolling and just like, I miss all of that. Like just knowing that I was going to be okay, most of the time.
You're like just so excited.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I miss that too. Skateboarding. I think about skateboarding a lot. I watch all these like videos on Instagram, but actually there was this time I was going to junior college in Berkeley and I would skate all the way there. And I always wanted to be good, and I would wear my backpack.
Mm-hmm.
and I would have this line that I skated, and it was a good like 25-minute skate, and there was like a wall ride and kick flips, and that was like I think one of the
Damn, dude.
that was, and it was like I think the wall ride went up even. It was like a storefront, and then you'd almost go up onto the glass 'cause it was like storefront. But that was like I don't know. That was a lot of fun. Like trying to have an actual line.
I'm gonna try some wall rides next. I think.
Yeah, wall rides are awesome. Like Nodus, Gons, all that shit. Yeah.
Is it easier facing the wall or facing away from the wall?
It's always. I think it was always easier facing away from the wall.
facing
Backside.
away. Yeah, backside. Yeah.
If there's no bank, but if there is a bank,
Because it is
then
hard to
front-
just like yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It goes more naturally with your legs.
Yeah.
I never tried a fucking wall ride.
Dude.
Now I'm all excited.
You're younger.
Yeah.
Well, that was like the beginning. That's what Jim Thiebaud and Ron Allen would come to our junior high
Uh-huh.
because I don't know why, but they had the launch ramp and they would put it up against the tennis, the tennis thing that you play back and forth.
Yeah.
And then that was the beginning. Like I had a launch ramp too, and we would try to do wall rides. And I don't even know if I ever landed a single one.
Yeah.
But those dudes, they would just go huge. But that was with the launch ramp. But then eventually, you could do it without one. Or
Did you ever watch the World Industries Rodney versus Day One? I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that video, dude.
that sounds.
I'm not fucking
familiar.
lying, dude. I'm not. I literally have goosebumps. That shit changed my life, dude.
Day1
is fucking crazy.
Such an amazing.
That guy
skateboarder.
doesn't even skateboard. That guy just
No,
does
he's
a
just,
whole
like-
different thing.
He's taken it to such a level. Like
It
oh
is the
my
most
God.
creative. Like when he starts writing trees,
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
nature, and
I love that
shit was like that guy. I don't understand how his fucking brain works. Do you follow him on Instagram?
Off and on, but
Yeah.
I've definitely went down like the YouTube rabbit hole of some of his videos. And
His pandemic
he's-
shit was crazy. Just him in the house.
Oh yes.
He
I
would-
didn't see that.
He would draw these little like boxes, and then he'll like put a mattress up against the stairwell, and then he'll like, because his whole thing's is manuals, right? So he'll
Yeah,
manual, and then he'll just do like a thing. He bounces off of the mattress.
Oh,
lands.
rad.
It's just like the most fucking creative shit. Sometimes like he'll do one where there's like something through a little hole, and he'll manual and then hop and then land back on the manual.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking but the skateboard goes through the hole.
Oh,
He's
well, that's
so
wow.
it's
That's like-
insane.
I love all that stuff. The
Yeah.
weird kind of like not skateboarding, like jumping off shit. And there's another that I think that people don't like this guy, but Anderson, this Canadian dude.
Silva? No, that's the fighter. Sorry, Anderson, Canadian dude.
He's a skateboarder, but he does a lot of that weird shit. But he kind of pulls in a little bit of freestyle too. But he does all kinds of crazy tricks and lip tricks. He'll do these like mini ramp lip tricks where he's just like on the lip for like 10 minutes and he's just like
Yeah.
just not actually going back in the transition. He like did the Olympics. He's on Powell and like
What's his first name, or is it
I
that?
can't remember his first
Anderson?
name.
I'll just-
Anderson is his last name. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then, do you remember the fucking? Is it Bucky Lassick, the X
Oh, yeah.
Games shit? Because
Oh,
we
because he did. Yeah, he went to the. X
we
Games.
are of the fucking generation that like X Games like was for us, and it was still kind of relatively small. But like, do you remember the big air shit where there's like.
It's like a snowboard jump in a way.
Yeah, there's a huge ramp, and then you go off and you fucking launch,
Yeah.
and
It's a
then
big
you
old gap.
there's this huge gap, and then you land, and then you're back on another ramp, and then it's a full vert.
A quarter
You-
pipe.
Yeah, it's a quarter pipe. You full fucking vert. You go just straight up, like, and they get like huge air.
Yeah.
And there was one year where this motherfucker just caught all that air, but he went up weird, and he landed on his back.
On the flat, right?
Yeah.
I think I saw that.
That shit was
Oh.
crazy.
Oh,
and I
yeah.
think
I could
that,
never skate vert.
yeah, dude, it is so wild. I can barely pump, man. Like I'm like I don't even know how to like I can do it and kind of keep myself going, but my fakie is not good enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I remember learning how to pump. It's this kid in Berkeley had his dad was like a carpenter and he had a vert ramp. But it was like, it was only like 6 or 7 feet tall, but I remember learning how to pump. And then there was a big fire in the Bay Area
Mm-hmm.
and all these houses burned down and then there was all these swimming pools.
Oh yeah,
skate.
yeah,
The
yeah.
pool
yeah.
skating. It was
With fucking
awesome.
gleaming the cube, man. Hop on that plane and look down and hey, that one's empty. Let's fucking go.
I know people in Arizona that they would do that. They had,
Oh, really?
yeah, they
That's
would,
legit?
yeah,
That's
yeah.
not just like
no,
a
that's
stupid movie
totally
fantasy?
real. Yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah.
That makes my day a little bit better. To know that someone actually did that, because that was pretty cool. What other? When I was a kid, skateboarding happened overnight. Did you ever watch that movie with in Italian it was called Thrashing Corsa al Massacro, race to the massacre, or massacre race, whatever. So it's Josh Brolin, and it's probably sometime after the Goonies, and it's all this like, it's not even vert. They're just like racing downhill on skateboards.
Are they like jousting in that ditch
Yes.
in Bronson?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
Yes. Okay.
But I think it was just
That
called
was in
thrashing
Bronson?
here.
Yeah, thrashing. It just had the tag in Italian.
No, yeah, they filmed that at Bronson Canyon.
Okay.
When they were like doing the weird joust. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
vaguely remember that
So-
movie, but I know they filmed it there. Yeah.
That movie came out in Italy. The next day, everybody had a skateboard.
Oh,
It
you were
played.
telling about
It
this.
played on the. Oh, okay. I'm glad that
Yeah.
that means that I haven't told the story on the podcast before. So that movie came out. Everybody went and bought a fucking, because like over there they have the media set, so they have a very centralized like television system back then.
Kind of like England or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
they have
3
that.
channels.
Well, Berlusconi owns or owned at the time the Italia Uno, Rete Cuatro, and I forget. I don't even remember all of them. And then there's the Rai system, which is there's like 4 Rai, which are like would be more like the BBC system.
Oh, okay.
Which are like state owned. But then when he became president, he ran 6 fucking networks.
Wow.
And it was all bunga bunga if you watch that TV show. But anyway, yeah, man, I remember that. And then I had the Vision Tom Groholski model that I still fucking love. I still have it.
Oh, rad.
Yeah, it had the rails on it. And yeah, man, I know that I can still skate, but I miss those days. You know, does that make sense?
Dude, I do too. I mean, it was just so crazy. I was thinking about like the best trick, but just even like running from the cops was so much fun. Like I remember this moment where this cop was so close to me and I was just skating and it was like, and I was, I'd never been busted and it was like just fun.
Yeah.
And then a friend of ours, he like got arrested and everything and it wasn't fun for him. But yeah, it's just like skating through town and being able to do tricks, just hanging out and just like, yeah, no, it's a unique time being young and being a skateboarder and it was like, it was pretty illegal and we'd have like weird rapport with these cops. I remember this one cop where if I'd see him and I wasn't on my skateboard, I would tap my skateboard on the ground and he would look. And we'd get like busted by him and we'd just act really stupid. We'd be like, oh, it's illegal. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. And then literally he busted us 2 or 3 times in one day. And we just...
You played dumb every time?
Oh, that was you. Oh, dude, I didn't realize that was today. Sorry, dude. And it was like this thing where, yeah. But I mean, in many ways, yeah, we probably got pretty lucky, or I did.
And Jackass, that whole like, that was. Did you ever watch the Cam videos? The original Jackass? Like the shit that did make it on TV? With Bam Margera and all those motherfuckers?
Oh, well, I used to watch, because before that, there were the whiskey videos.
No, I don't know those.
That was Sean Palmer. They were snowboarders.
Oh, okay.
And they did a lot of that stuff. I don't know the exact configuration, but I think that was a little pre-Jackass.
Oh,
and they would do stuff
interesting.
where they would go into a 7-Eleven with like a weird mask on, and they would grab the fire extinguisher and just start squirting everybody in the store, and then just take off. And then they were like trying to break bottles on their heads, and like it's not.
Did you
easy.
ever watch Bam's show, Viva La Bam?
I did. I've watched a little bit of Bam. Like I
That
kind of
show-
went into the Jackass and then back into the Bam, and he.
That show is just basically him abusing his parents and making them rich.
Well, yeah. When he put that like alligator or crocodile in there,
no idea.
I was dying. No, the parent thing is so funny, and like no, all that stuff is like.
But
so
even
funny.
just thinking about like all that entertainment is so different than anything that comes out now, right? Like even like it was. it was, first of all, it was fucking very dumb in a great way. Like that's a compliment, right? I'm not shitting on it. It's like it was just base dumb entertainment, like no fucking self-righteousness. And what I really liked about it is that you identified with it. I mean, I didn't even really watch it. I just liked that it existed. You know, like I wasn't a fucking Jackass fan, but I liked Steve-O. And the one that I did like was the Wild Boys, the nature show I didn't know. Chris Pontius and Steve-O. And it was just that fucking like having alligators bite their nipples. And shit. It's just so dumb. But they had this guy that was kind of serious, but in on the joke. But like, you know, he was like the professional among them. But it was very gentle. That's what I really liked about it. It was like, it was a nature show, so it was like all like soothing. It's like, but these fucking wild ass motherfuckers just doing stupid shit. Like it was almost like the Crocodile Hunter, but with idiots that didn't know what they were doing to see what they could get away with. And so
funny,
good.
Funny.
So
no, I didn't do that. I mean, Jackass was pretty funny. There were some pretty amazing moments.
Yeah.
And they did it for so little money. It was just like kind of like a genius move.
Yeah.
I think they're doing more now or something.
There's a new one coming out. I'll probably check it out just for nostalgia. They are starting to get to that age where like you're worried about them.
What if I'm just gonna die or get paralyzed? Oh god. Yeah, they do some crazy stuff.
But yeah. All right, let's end with we've been going for an hour, but let's end with a little quick talk about your architecture and kind of maybe like get some of your philosophy and shit, because you do have a really specific style. Like it's kind of like, how would you describe it? I don't want to throw words that are going to make you cringe, like whimsical.
Oh, that's what everybody says. I have to accept that word. I literally. I mean, I'm not going to say anything bad about that word. I think it is a little bit like that. I think. Yeah.
Playful. There are all these words.
Yes.
But there are all these words that, like, if in the art world, they're kind of like cringe.
Well, that's kind of. Well, don't get me wrong. They're cringe in the architecture world too. I mean, I think my work is very much a reaction to going to architecture school and architects being just so serious about everything and obsessing about all these ridiculous details. And I just want to do work that kind of, makes people happy. And I mean, of course, all my projects function. I'm not doing weird things where, you can't use the kitchen or anything like that.
It's not a house full of Murphy beds.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I would do that. Someone wanted to do that. I mean, that's actually a good move. It's like
I'm going to commission
room, bedroom.
No, I'm just going to commission a house that like is completely covered in mattresses when you open all the Murphy beds.
Yes, it's a party house. It's like it's all work and all party.
It's my Playboy mansion. Pillow fights, the pillow fight house.
Yeah, comes with all the pillows and the thing.
Without the rape and exploitation.
Oh Christ, yes.
Because a lot of that weird shit is coming out. Like the girls from that TV reality show are like, I don't know.
Is it like a Playboy show? Or?
So there was remember there, like in the early aughts, there was, or maybe 2010s, there was the show with the three playmates that were on like E! Network. They were like, there was one that was always flashing people, and there were three blondes, and they were supposed to be his girlfriends. I think one of them came out.
The Playboy guy.
Yeah, Hefner.
Oh, Hefner. Okay. Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that one of them has come out and said like, oh, it was a rape cult. It was like all of these women were like expected to have sex with people and shit. So that's not my my Playboy mansion minus rape.
I'm not gonna work for him. I don't do Murphy bed houses.
Strict no Murphy.
This interview is over.
All right, I think that's a good place to end. You'll never work with me.
No, I'm kidding. We don't have to end the interview. But
No, I'm kidding. I mean, we could wrap up for sure though. So anyway, so then you do like whimsical stuff, and we have a googly-eyed house all the way over there. And then
that's what I'm trying.
You have cloud.
I do. I use clouds a lot. Yeah.
Clouds a lot, and so like it's not your typical sort of like Spanish colonial, like Los Angeles, like fetishization of like.
I mean, that's like the vernacular stuff. The whole architecture scene just hates all that stuff. Like all the styles are like a big no-no.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. If you're not an architect, if you're just designing a style from the past. But I don't know. I definitely look at some of that stuff But yeah, I think I try to toe the line between those two things, but just make it really playful. And actually, that project, which there's another house involved in that project, it was really influenced. It's a project I tried to put a cloud on, but we ended up putting this like big circle on it. And I started calling it the bagel after that Everything All at Once movie. But I tried to think about like what.
Oh, is that what your story was about? I was like, what the fuck? This is so random. I don't even know what this is. Okay.
I like that. Super random. But that house was about like, there's a lot of houses in LA that were like arts and crafts, and then they get stuccoed over, which is kind of an inexpensive process. It insulates the house a little bit, but the architecture community hates it. And they're like, oh God. And then I just kind of like, I really like that. It's like this sort of evolution of a style of Los Angeles. And I try to sort of take that and, refine it in a way and just play with it. But I like vernacular. There's so much like cool kind of vernacular architecture in LA. And there's like famous.
What do you mean by vernacular architecture?
Vernacular is like Spanish style is vernacular. There's like a moment in time where like almost everything is Spanish style. And then everything is arts and crafts. And then everything is like the 50s, and those are like the prominent styles of the time, and those they kind of can be looked down upon. But then there's like Googie, but I don't even think
I like Googie.
Googie is not actually referred to as vernacular because it wasn't huge enough.
Yeah, but I mean, in
Googie
pop culture,
awesome.
In pop culture, it is though. Like we still,
well, yeah,
like you're probably right. Like per capita, the amount of Googie.
Well, a lot of it's gone too.
Yeah, that's true.
Tore it all down.
Why?
I know. Why is right?
Isn't LAX Googie?
Yes, kind of. Okay. Yeah. I mean, there was this gorgeous Googie building that Frank Gehry is just touring down on the west side. That was even historical, and
fucking Toy Story just milked the shit out of that too, right? Like
yeah, Googie is like
that's like
the auto museum that they put all that crazy stuff on. That was actually originally Googie, but it hadn't been Googie for years. They had already kind of covered it up and everything like that. But yeah, the Peterson is a good point. Like the Peterson isn't like my thing, but I love that the Peterson exists because it's just so weird.
Yeah.
And like if you see it from really far away, it's almost like you're looking at a weird mirage or alien has landed, but the architecture community hates it.
And I love how you say hate, by the way. You said it like that a couple times. I might just clip that. But yeah, no, I also like how like abrasive it is towards LACMA because it's right there. It's like, fuck you.
Fuck you, Renzo. You get all the projects and you don't even win the competitions.
That's for like the architecture audience because I did not get any of that. Yeah. Anyway, what do you really like in like what are the things that you like in LA that you like places that you're like, oh shit, that building is dope, that like the Fox building, Nakatomi Plaza.
What's that building?
That's the Fox Studios.
Where is that? I don't even know what that is.
I don't remember where it is, but I remember when I first visited LA, my brother drove me past it and he goes, "That's Nakatomi Plaza." And I was like, cool.
You're like, I have no idea what you're talking about, but it sounds cool to me.
No, I knew exactly. Right?
Oh, you
that
had
was
seen
like
it.
Fucking cool, man. I was like, oh my God, Die Hard.
I was just like me thinking. Oh, well, I guess I'm even having a hard time.
Wait. So yeah, you didn't know what I was talking about. Okay, no, I'm sorry. Die Hard is shot at the.
Oh, this is that thing by the Hammer, right?
Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah, that's the Pomo shit.
Okay.
I'm into Pomo.
Okay.
And yeah. No, that building's. I like the Pacific Design Center. I think that building is amazing. I like
Pacific Design. Is that the one in Pasadena?
No, it's on.
Oh, no, I'm thinking Art Center, Pasadena. Beverly.
The big blue thing. It's like all glass. It's got these like oversized lamps. It's got all these like little hills in the. It's like a really famous. And then they just finished. There was like a fourth building that they hadn't built. They had a little mocha there. They had that little mocha.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's an amazing building. I like that Coke building that looks like a boat. It's downtown.
Okay.
It's
it's a new one that they just built.
No, it's been there since like actually in the 80s probably they built it. It's like proper postmodernism.
What do you think of the Bendix from the outside? You're just listing buildings and I'm like, I don't know. I asked the wrong question. I'm out of my depths. Hey, you know this place that we both know.
I mean, the Bendix is a vernacular building. It's of the time.
What time was that?
It's kind of Art Deco-y. Well, you know what I love the Bendix is that interior, the little foyer. And unfortunately, they painted over all that painted concrete. I remember going in there and it was like even nicer. And it was like all cast in place concrete and like, but yeah, I mean, the Bendix is not a building. It's that I dream about. It's got to be weirder. I like all the really weird stuff that happens in LA by some random architect that no one knows, and they build some weird stucco box or just like.
We might have to just do a YouTube architecture tour of LA then.
Well, I plug the show that I do sometimes, the Rad, Bad, and Sad show.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That show on YouTube has a bunch of like random buildings that we just take photographs of and talk about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool. No, because I mean there is a lot of interesting stuff, but then once you started actually naming them, I realized I was like, oh my god, what did I do? Cool, man. Cool. So. Yeah, what do you got planned? Do you have any big projects coming up?
The one project that has the bagel on it, we're gonna probably shoot that pretty soon, so that's exciting. It's like almost finished. And I mean, I have a bunch of projects. I have a nice like 2-story ADU on the west side that we're gonna just start building, and then I have I called it the three-legged bedroom. It's like a main bedroom, but it's on the second story, and then the first story you can access from the backyard, and so it's kind of like on legs. We sort of just put these little legs on it, and that one is really fun. And yeah, I have some other projects that they haven't really sort of got to the point where they're like can be described. We haven't got to that point in the design phase, but yeah. And
then you just hire contractors. How does that work?
The client hires the contractors. So it's sort of like a 3-part. There's the client, there's the architect or the designer, and then there's the contractor. And so we work, But yeah, I have a bunch of contacts, and I sort of get them 3 bids. Usually, like typically, you try to get them 3 numbers, and they talk with them, and they decide who to hire. And then I'm part of the process. I mean, I have so much construction experience that sometimes get a little too involved. But.
So those hands are probably calloused, or have they? Have they
not
gotten
anymore?
Soft?
They've gotten soft from the mouse,
from being a dad.
Exactly.
Being a dad made you soft.
Exactly.
Well, man, it's been a pleasure. It's definitely nice. I've known you for a very long time, and we've had conversations for sure, but it's nice to not have like distractions around.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure,
especially like a particular 5-year-old.
Yeah,
but I did kick Ida's ass at that 20 questions game, and
oh, I remember when you kicked into competitive mode. That was like, oh, here we go. She likes that game. Yeah.
No, that was really fun. I was like, when do I ever get to do this? Which. You guys probably do it every day, and you're like, oh,
we do that in the car.
You do that in the car?
A lot.
Yeah. You did a good job though. You picked the restaurant we were at, and we were struggling, and I felt like a genius when I figured it out. When it clicked in my brain, I was like, oh, yeah.
I know, that was funny. I forgot that. Yeah.
All right, man. Well, can you plug your website, your Instagrams, and you also do some art stuff? I don't want to like make it like you're not also active in the art world.
I'm not that active, but yeah, I mean, my website is just byben.com, byben.com.
You came to my first show, so
I liked your first show.
Well, no, that wasn't my first show, but the first show that I met Molly at was that one, and that was cool. So no, but you get out to a bunch of shit just by.
I go to a lot of art shows. You put that show in Made in LA, and then we met you that day. Is that
that's 100%. Okay. So I've known you guys both but when I interviewed. But when I interviewed her, we realized that we've like known each other since 2016, which is 7 years. That's like fucking a long time, bro.
Too long for an LA relationship.
Yeah, for sure, especially in LA, right?
Exactly. All LA friendships should end at 4.5 years.
Yeah, as you grow apart.
Exactly.
I just went into my own thing, apart. Yeah, exactly. Like I still love him.
I just don't ever want to talk to him again.
Yeah, fuck that guy. All right, man.
Cool.
Your website?
Byben, byben.com.
And your Instagram?
My Instagram is /Flaneur.
Flaneur. Where does that come from?
Flaneur? You don't know what Flaneur is? Flaneur is I think it's Walter Benjamin, or he might have made it popular. He's like a philosopher. And it's about experiencing the city. You know, when you go on a hike and you experience nature, it's about experiencing the city in that same way. And so you don't actually buy anything. You like window shop. It's like doing an urban hike. You're sort of part of the city. It was about like the dandies and these guys that would, you know, they would dress up and they would just experience the city. And it's like that's kind of how I initially sort of saw the internet. It was sort of my attempt at the critique of Instagram, where you're just kind of like experiencing the internet, and making it more interesting than it really is. But yeah, flaneur is like a big thing in philosophy. And
what were the dandies?
They were these guys that would
what era?
Get all. I mean, I think this is like it might even be the 1800s or something.
1800s, okay.
Or maybe the 1880s. I'm so ignorant to that. But yeah, they wore really nice clothes, and they were sort of part of the fabric of the history. They're probably like early scenesters, you know, but they're not they almost, I don't even think they really worked very much. And so, but it was all about window shopping and going to the park and hanging out.
So aristocratic.
Kind of, yeah. But I don't even know if it was.
A man of leisure.
Yeah. Yeah, I should know more about it.
I'm just trying to pick. I was more than anything trying to figure out 1800s sounds about right for like people trying to be like romantic about like the city.
The Rococo, or maybe not. I don't know. What am I even talking about? I need to stop. But yeah, that's his
fucking
Walter Benjamin.
Arcade Fire has ruined the word Rococo, because now every time someone says Rococo, I hear Rococo, Rococo, Rococo.
I've never heard that song. I wish you hadn't told me, because I love the Rococo.
All right. Okay. I'm trying to remember. I came up with a really dumb sign off last time, and I'm going to keep it.
Do it.
Bye, Jiminy. Thanks for watching.
Good luck, everybody.
All right. I'll see you guys next week. Thanks.